This is a duration test on the concept of priority sector. What we're going to do is we're going to time how long it takes to approach the Baltimore and make a drop after the AA starts. Ideally, the Balti is going to use AA at 5.8. Then if priority sector is used immediately while we're going at full speed, we can time roughly how long that takes. AA engages now. 29:23. And we drop at 29:10. So in this case, it was 13 seconds to get from point A to point B. 13 seconds for US torpedo planes to go in and strike. Now we'll come in for a bombing run. Hopefully the Lexington lives long enough. We'll do the same thing. 5.8, we're going to see roughly how long it takes. As the speed is the same, it should be similar, but bombers are going to have a different amount of time required to get to the target before starting their attack animation. Now in this case, the point was made, well, if somebody uses priority sector, you could just dip over to the other side. That's true, but not all attacks are going to be coming in directly from the bow. I didn't actually test the time there, I'm sorry, so we're going to do that again. Got distracted in something. It's late, so I'm sleepy. Anyway, we're going to go back out and we're going to time the bomb attack to go in on the Balti. When we're approaching the bow, we need to use a curved attack to try to put the flak in front of us so that we can hook in to avoid it. And we will be going full speed to do that. Should see the Balti soon. There it is. So, AA starts 27:49 and a half. And the drop happens at 27:33. So that is a 16-second difference in time. And then lastly, we're going to try the Lexington with the rocket planes. Rocket planes will give you a bit of a further projection. Obviously, there are some CVs which are faster and fire further away. For instance, Russian CVs do that. Well, they fire from further away. It's just a single shot. But the question is if you're supposed to use priority sector before going across the other side. And we might be able to time trial it a little. It starts 26:56 to 26:50, and let's look at our thing here. Okay, so 26:56 is where we started. 26:47 is where we shot, and then the camera would have to go over to the other side. The other side is going to take roughly 2 to 3 seconds of, mini slingshot before the damage is going to catch up. So it's approximately an 11-12 second interaction to go from one side of the cruiser to the other. So with that information, let's look at the Baltimore. Baltimore here has a priority sector that lasts 10 seconds. So for the torpedoes, we had a 13-second time from the edge of AA until the drop. So that's 13 seconds of available to take damage. For the bombs, we had 16 seconds of from the edge of AA until the drop. So that's, again, more than 10. And then for the rockets, we did not. Rockets were different. They were able to skirt through the AA and immediately go into a firing animation, which is fine. They took about 5 seconds worth of AA. I think it was 4 to 5 seconds to quickly burn through the distance from 5.8 until setting up the shot. But it then took the remaining time of the priority sector as they went through the firing animation, which does not receive damage while they're in the animation state. And then afterward, the camera will zoom over the ship until it latches onto the remaining planes, and damage will start to be taken again at roughly 12 to 13 seconds after breaching AA. In these situations, use priority sector on the planes coming in. Why? because the instantaneous damage is going to affect a full flight of planes more than a half flight of planes. Secondly, the more damage you do up front, the more likely the CV is to abandon a follow-up strike, assuming that, oh damn, this AA is too strong, I'm not going to be able to get the second strike, this is something that I just can't do, and bail. And you can't guarantee that they will do a follow-up strike. They could simply strike you and leave, in which case if you haven't used your priority sector, you've gained literally nothing from the mechanic. As far as using the priority sector when they're all the way on the outside, we can look at continuous damage here, which is going to have long range AA aura is 109 damage per second. Technically, because 90% hit probability, it's actually minus 10.9, so it's more like 99 or 98 damage per second. But anyway, when they cross the outer barrier, you're going to start to buff that. It goes from, 100 to 110 to 120 to 100, whatever. The increase is going to be fairly minimal. You've increased it by 10 DPS, 20 DPS, 30 DPS. Okay, that's cute. But ideally, you want the 40, the 50, or if you happen to buff this, so it goes up to 75% with the commander skill, you want those numbers to hit as you strike into mid-range. The mid-range, as you can see, is 326 additional DPS. Again, 90% modifier, so let's drop 32 off of it. Makes it like 290-ish, whatever. 290 plus 98, yay math, is about 390-ish as well. 388, I think is what it is. So 388 buffed up by 50% or 75% because you finally got it ramped up to that point as the planes are coming through is going to mean a lot more than trying to like milk it where the planes fly over you. You hit the priority sector as they've already reduced their plane count, so you're doing less damage there. And then you're still heating up as they leave the short range, leave the mid range, and go to long range AA. In which case now you have a fully heated up 50 to 75%, while they're out in the long range of 90 damage. So they're doing 150 or 160 damage, whereas you could have been buffing the medium and the short range as they were coming in to strike you in the first place. Long story short, you want to use priority sector as soon as possible on the intake of the strike. You want to get the upfront damage, and you want to get the AA heating up, so that as they get into the medium range, they're taking the additional damage with something that actually has some power behind it. As far as the concern of 10 seconds being too long and that the planes will fly over the ship, it's just not borne out. The only time that is something you might consider is going to be with a battleship, as it has a 15-second time. So that's something to be considerate if you are looking at a situation you think, well, if I start this, we did when, for instance, when we saw the torpedoes, it was 13 seconds for the drop. It's going to be another 2 to 3 seconds for them to fly over the ship before they start to take damage again. That's 15 seconds, so that's fine. For the bombers, it was 16 seconds, so the 15 seconds is fine. For the rocket planes, it actually is undercut by the fact that the rocket planes might get across the ship in about 12. And then you take reduced damage for approximately 2 to 3 seconds, but you took additional damage coming in. So I would still argue that the use of the priority sector mechanic is going to be the strongest option whenever you can use it as soon as possible at the furthest reaches of AA. And you want to make sure that you use it when you start to see either the AA guns fire or some kind of particle effect. Because it's very possible that while you read that number that the planes are away is within my AA and hit the button, there could be a little server delay, meaning that the instantaneous damage gets missed. And that would suck because it's pretty significant on a full flight of planes coming in. By the way, I hope this was helpful.